I feel like we're witnessing something that's rather extraordinary in spiritual communities, and I want to talk about it. So get ready with me and let's dive in. The thing that I feel like we're witnessing in spiritual communities, and it's a little bit like the elephant in the room that somehow isn't really being acknowledged a whole lot, and maybe because we can't really make sense of it quite yet. So I'm not going to pretend to be able to fully do that in this video, but I do want to call attention to this observation that I have, and maybe you've had it as well, that Christ consciousness seems to be specifically reaching out to witchy women. And on the surface, I feel like this is a little surprising, right? Even if you consider yourself to be a pretty, for lack of a better term, witchy individual, you might have started to feel this pull, this tug. I know that I have, and I see it all over social media as well. So I've gotten a little curious. What's going on here? What could witchy women and Christ consciousness have in common? And what might this connection be about? When I feel into the energy of it, it really feels as though to me that we're being invited into a partnership. I know that might sound weird, so hear me out. The thing that I feel like we often forget about when it comes to Jesus's story is that when he was here in his physical form, he was himself a very mystical soul. He regularly had mystical experiences with God, with the divine. He also very clearly embraced ritual, and he was very gifted and well-versed on practices that enabled magical seeming abilities to move energy, to heal, to feel into the energetic signatures of the people around him, and to know he had clairsentience abilities. He could really feel into their experience. He knew them at a soul level without really even needing to get to know them. The thing is, and this is something that makes me really sad actually, and that's that so much of his story, so much of the way that he taught was through example. And so much of the message that he was demonstrating through example is that we are meant to have mystical experiences with the divine, that we all have access to this part of ourselves that is able to connect with the world around us in otherworldly ways. That message somehow got lost along the way in a lot of traditional teachings. But in Gnostic Christianity, that message wasn't lost. And this is something that has really broken my spiritual life wide open. Going down the rabbit hole of learning about what many call the lost years of Christ, where some say that he traveled to Egypt and other places to study and to learn and to immerse himself in more mystical teachings and understandings about God. He had an inner calling. From a young age, he had a deep knowing, a deep inner calling to expand his educational experiences outside of the mainstream. In Egypt, at what's known as the mystery schools, it's said that he met Mary Magdalene, his divine counterpart. By the time he met her, she was already an established priestess in the mystery schools. It's said that they formed a very powerful magnetic connection, and that the two of them together, the divine masculine and the divine feminine operating within them, created something otherworldly. This is also something that's available to all of us. Balancing out the inner divine feminine and divine masculine in our energetic body, healing wounds that get in the way of that, expands us in ways that we can't even fully imagine or describe. By the time he was ready to return home and start his formal missionary work, he and Mary Magdalene hit the ground running and started teaching other people so much of what they had learned. But somewhere along the way, the heart and soul of the Christ message, to me, got distorted and fragmented. And I think the reason for that is because when churches were being formed in his name, it must have become abundantly clear to those who were forming those churches that if everyone knew and understood and believed that they have the ability to access and experientially tap into source energy, what would they need the church for? So it's as though there was a coalition, an agreement to strip that experiential divine component out of Christ's message and to center connection with source, divinity, God, around the church, around intermediaries who would serve as a bridge to connect us with source, causing us to forget for centuries that we never needed a bridge. And sadly, I truly believe that's what was at the heart of Jesus's message, that he was trying to say to the people of his time. You don't need the institutions around you to connect with source. Come with me and let me show you that the connection is within you, that what I've experienced is true is also true for you. Imagine devoting your whole life to a really powerful message like that, and then after you're gone, it being so completely altered by the hands of people who claim to follow you. I don't think he was looking for followers. I think he was just looking for the opportunity to teach through example and through embodiment of what's possible, even while we're here in this very dense, energetic experience in a human body on earth. If everybody had awoken to that message at the time, we might have long ago already elevated our frequency as a human collective to heights that we could only imagine right now. But I truly believe that greed and the desire for control sabotaged that process, and that the early church particularly stripped the divine feminine part of the message out. And the divine feminine is where the Holy Spirit is really anchored in the human body, because the divine feminine within all of us, regardless of your gender, is what houses our intuition, our inner knowing, our ability to connect on a mystical, otherworldly plane. That ability is housed within the divine feminine because it requires surrender. It requires openness. And that whole message was stripped out. So returning to the original question, why does it seem like Christ consciousness is specifically reaching out to witchy women? We deeply believe in the power of ritual. We deeply believe in the power of the divine feminine. We deeply trust our intuition, and we embrace all that's mystical. And of course, I'm talking specifically about witchy women who operate in the light. I believe that Jesus is returning right now as Christ consciousness, switching on, coming alive, and downloading into the awareness of the least likely hosts. No shade to the gentlemen of our world. We love you. But let's be honest. Great power placed in the hands of the masculine has been misused to the point where it seems at times as though we're on the brink of destruction. So why wouldn't Christ consciousness, divine energy, turn toward the feminine counterpart in search of answers? I believe that the divine feminine is going to be the portal through which Jesus returns. And I think that's happening right now. Women in general are uniquely well suited to hold this energy because we are uniquely designed to be human vessels, quite literally. We're designed to hold the energy of birth, rebirth, and transformation in our bodies, quite literally, but also even more so spiritually. So the reason I wanted to make this video is because I want to direct this video at those of you who feel what I'm talking about and who might be sensing that divine spark on the inside of your being coming alive inside of you. And I want to draw awareness to that so that that flame can be fanned and grown. And so that when we see it in other people, that it can be connected with so that that fire can continue to grow and spread. It won't work if we're up in our heads about it and second guessing it. The thing is, I know that if you are a little on the witchy side, you've probably felt it. I know this because I can see it in you. I see it in the women around me. This sort of almost confusing illumination. I can see it. I can feel it in other people. And yet I feel like it's very hard, especially for this population of, individuals who are a little on the witchy side, to feel comfortable talking about. So I kind of wanted to break that silence. And by no means do I believe I'm the only one trying to do that. I see a lot of other people doing it. I'm following online as many of those people as possible because this is something that's just starting to gain momentum. And you have to really go out seeking the community that this energy seems to be coming alive within. I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a little overwhelming. It takes a lot of courage to honor what it is that you might be feeling and to step out and acknowledge that something's happening. Something's happening inside of you, and that something is happening around you, and that you're aware of it and that you're on board. The time is now. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.